You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. As always, please like, share, comment, whatever you can to spread the content out over the community. Make sure to go to Facebook, type in Roofing Success, join the Roofing Success Facebook group. And today we're talking with another successful contractor to get some good jewels and good knowledge out of. We got Dan Blanton from Exterior Alliance out of the great state of Ohio. Dan, how's it going today, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. So you have a somewhat of a unique story of how you got into roofing. And then, how it evolved to you owning Exterior Alliance. Tell us a little bit about, kind of your background and how you got started in roofing.
Yeah. So, out of high school, I didn't go to college or anything. Out of high school, I, was making bad decisions, got involved with, some drugs here and there. But sales really is what kind of saved my life and got me out of that scene. I was in rehab actually, and met a guy. It wasn't roof sales, it was lawn care sales. Met a guy in there. He got me started in that, and I kind of just grabbed that by the horns. As soon as I got into it, so did that for a couple years, and just so happened one day I was going over to see a couple buddies of mine that I went to school with, just to hang out, and they were putting together a business plan for a roofing company. And obviously, with my sales background, I kind of figured, hey, you guys will probably need a sales guy. So, definitely reach out to me as soon as you guys get rolling, and I'd love to help you out. So fast forward a few months after that, and they gave me a call. So we sat down, and I went through a couple of days of training. They had bought Roof Sales Mastery from Becca Switzer, so that helped us a lot, and taught me a lot. I attribute a lot of what I know today to her. So shout out to her. But we just kind of hit the ground rolling with that. I was really the only sales guy. One of the other two partners had come from another roofing company, and so he helped train me. And then one of the other ones didn't really have much of a construction background, but definitely a business background. He owned another company, but really it was just me. I was the only sales guy. I brought a couple of my friends on board in the first couple years. None of them really panned out a whole lot, and that was really because I was so focused on sales, being the only guy that was selling in the company. It was really on my shoulders to bring that revenue in, keep the bills paid, keep everyone paid, and I couldn't devote a lot of resources to training and whatnot. So it was really hey, if you're going to pick it up as fast as I did, in terms of maybe you go to the door with me one day, you look through some of Becca's stuff, and you hit the ground running, great. If you need more than that, unfortunately, I can't help you a whole lot. A storm had hit south of us. We're based in Columbus. It had hit in Cincinnati. So I kind of packed up and went down there. The guys that I brought on board up in Columbus, were kind of left on an island. So eventually it just kind of got to the point where we were, at a stalemate. We weren't able to grow a whole lot, again, because I just didn't really have the time or resources to, hire more guys and train and whatnot, because I was going to take away from me being able to sell. And, my goal every year was, $1 million, 1.5 at least. And, obviously most guys know, that's going to take up most of your time. So it really just came to a point where it was like, hey, I think it's probably best that I go out and do my own thing and kind of, run things the way that I see fit. And when that conversation came, I think they both kind of just realized that, if I wasn't going to be part of the company anymore, that, they were going to be struggling. So at that point, we came to an agreement for me to buy them out. And that's kind of where we are here today. I finally got full reign of things. And since then, I've definitely been able to, like I said, not that my way was 100% the right way, what they wanted to do was wrong, but, just not having that gatekeeper, I guess, of having to, hey, do you guys think we should do this? Should we do it like this? And obviously we had, different opinions on how things should be done from the beginning. And now, being able to kind of dictate those things myself, and it's not, doesn't come down to as much of a bottleneck. I think we've been able to get things rolling. So.
Nice. Yeah. That, a lot of times in partnerships, so I feel like in partnerships, a lot of times you have to be like really focused on your role, and everyone and the other partners have to be willing to kind of go along with, like you have an overriding vote in that position,
Right.
in that part of it. Right. So like,
right.
If and you have to trust that, partner, that the partner is going to make a good decision, with whatever they're doing. And it's tough sometimes, man. It's tough, and you said, so one of the guys had another business that he was probably still running at the same time.
Exactly.
I'm sure that, was probably difficult also, right? To have full focus on the
And I
roofing.
mean, he especially, he's still, involved to an extent. He's, always been a mentor of mine. The other business he has is extremely successful.
Yeah.
And, I still look to him for, help and, advice and whatnot. I'm still friends with both of them. And, there was no love lost with the transition that happened. But I think, the best thing for this company was for, it to come down to one guy to take the reins and run with it. So.
Yep. And so starting with Becca's course, and being in Ohio, you guys are a storm damage restoration company, right?
Yeah, definitely majority of
what do you focus on? Residential? Do you do any commercial work too, or?
Yeah, we dabble in a little bit of commercial as well, and certainly that's a goal of mine, to get more into that. We've been lucky enough to develop some relationships with some developers and whatnot. So, we'll look to focus more into that. But yeah, especially over the last, 5-6 years, residential has been probably, 90-95% of the work that we've done.
Nice. And so
but we are in Ohio, and,
that's right.
So we are storm restoration, but, we're certainly not as lucky as the guys, in Colorado and Texas that are getting, 2-3 inch hailstorms every year. We're working what I call fringe hail, half inch hail. It's hit and miss. If we get it, we've been lucky enough to have a couple storms of, 2.5 inch hail, and that was great. But it certainly doesn't come around all the time.
You do retail work also then? Okay. So what do you think, what's your mix between storm restoration and retail? Would you say?
Last year was the first year that we really started getting more into retail. We were probably 70-30 last year.
Okay.
Now I will attribute a lot of that to Home Advisor, because when coronavirus hit, we just, obviously no one knew what to expect. And especially there at the beginning, just the fear and everything that was behind it. I kind of put the brakes on door knocking for a while and said, hey guys, I don't think that it's a good idea. We'll probably get some bad reviews if we're knocking doors in the middle of a pandemic. So our backup plan was to fire up Home Advisor, and that really opened up the door for retail for us, and was able to teach guys that, hey, this is out there as well, because I think that's a mistake, and we did it too. When you get into storm restoration, it's like that's all and everything's insurance. Every roof you see is insurance, and it's like, hey, that's not always the case. If insurance isn't a possibility, then talk about retail, talk about financing.
That's right.
And so last year definitely opened up the door for that for us.
Yeah, that's a big change. Now you did say the 4-letter word, home advisor. Um,
Yeah.
so this is what I find all the time, man. I know, I think that with home advisor and services like that, you have to have proper expectations of what what you're getting, and you have to have a sales process in place to make it effective. Because a lot of it, you're going to get a lot of garbage in there too, right? So,
Yeah.
what do you think has, made that working those home advisor leads successful? Because most contractors, they give it a shot, and and they're getting, I mean, they're getting called by home advisors 73 times a week,
Yeah.
and they finally give in and give them, $1,000 or $500 or, whatever it is. And then, they
Yeah.
can't
I
get a
mean,
hold of all those people.
I will say that unfortunately, we're probably not going to do much of that this year. We still keep our profile active just
Yep.
because people can still get on there and search us, but we
Yep.
keep the leads paused. And yeah, the reason being it's just such a huge undertaking. I mean, we literally had to hire someone on staff just to take those phone calls, do all the scheduling, and then unfortunately when you get out there, you're competing with 4 or 5 other people, and so you're lucky to close, like, if you're closing 50% of them, I mean, you're doing something right. But then you're paying for all those leads that were junk, or you just couldn't get because the 3 other guys were 20 or 30% cheaper than you were somehow. So it's something that we'll keep in our back pocket. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with another pandemic or something like
That's
that
right.
again, to where, we can't go out to the door, because that is kind of our main source of generating jobs. But, if you got to do it, and you need to, get some roofs rolling in or open up some neighborhoods, it's certainly, not a horrible option.
Yeah. And it works for some and it works for others, but I think the key there is having, like you said, it's having a process in place for that. And you got to manage your expectations too. The other thing that you said there that I like, so I look at lead services like that as filling gaps, right? So
Absolutely.
that you can use those services to fill the gap in your lead flow, in certain situations, but know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
You're not buying closed sales.
Exactly. Yeah. If your whole business model is based around that, then best of luck to you. But
It's
speaking
great. Yeah.
of home advisor, another one that we use here and there, which I know a lot of guys are not a fan of, is Mad Sky. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
you've.
Matt's guy. Yep.
Yeah. So that's another one that, especially when we first started using it, I mean, it's no secret the profit margins aren't great.
Yep.
And people, I see, especially online and the Facebook groups and whatnot, people just hate Mad Sky. And I did it first too, until I, kind of shifted the way I looked at it, in terms of, hey, I can hire guys and I can almost guarantee them leads right off the bat. Now, are they going to make a killing on them? No. Is the company going to make a killing on them? No. But it's going to open up, not only open up neighborhoods for us. So, Mad Sky sends us out to a neighborhood. Hey, we didn't know there was even damage here. Now we do. Now, are we going to make a lot on this job? No. But now we know that there's damage here. We can talk to the neighbors and self-generate some of our own. And then also, it's just experience getting guys on roofs. If they're not super comfortable with door knocking and whatnot yet, hey, let me throw you 5 Mad Sky leads this month that gets you on 5 roofs to get you to know what you're looking for. It'll get a little bit of money in your pocket to get rolling, but like you said, especially with Mad Sky, it's more filling the gaps and what I call supplemental income, supplemental jobs versus what your main focus is.
Yeah, and that's a great way to look at it, right? We're talking about opening up neighborhoods here, right? We're talking about the long-term value of a customer. That's where I think a lot of people miss out. They're looking for that one job, collect the check, and move on. Where if you really, especially in storm damage, right, in storm damage restoration, you're most likely going to get some other jobs in the neighborhood by being there, by knocking, by sending your letters, or whatever you're doing to attract the other, the neighbors, and then asking for referrals, right, and all of that. There's a long-term value to a customer. In retail, right, they have loss leaders.
Yeah.
Right. They to get you in the store, they have a loss leader. To get that, but because they know what is it? Is it the Costco chicken? Right? The Costco chicken is like $5. Have you heard of
Yeah,
this? Like
it
like
gets you
the
in the
the
door.
the rotisserie chicken, they lose money on every chicken that they sell you.
Right.
But you have to come in the store because they know there's more value in you, right? Just being in the store. So getting a job in that neighborhood is an opportunity for long-term value, man. So that's a great perspective on how you're doing that. I love that. Um,
Yeah, and I mean,
so
to that point of neighborhoods, that's
yeah,
obviously what we really focus on too. No one, unless you're just crazy, loves knocking doors year round, every day, all day. So,
yeah,
when we bring guys in, it's like, hey, I want to teach you, whether it be through some Mad Sky leads, maybe a couple of home advisor, also knocking, but I want to teach you to where, maybe you only have to knock really, really hard for the first couple months. And then after that, what I call making love to the neighborhood, you get that one roof in that neighborhood. And then, we have a pretty strict system in place in terms of, the day of the job when we're doing the build. We call them our watch us build flyers. We flyer the whole neighborhood. Hey, this roof was approved, by insurance because of wind and hail damage. We've got a little picture of the hail swath or the wind speeds that came through. And the goal is obviously, yes, to turn that one roof into 5 or 10 or 15
yeah.
or 20. We've got a lot of neighborhoods that, that one domino fell, and then we ended up doing 20, 30 roofs in that neighborhood. And I really only had to cold knock that first door. After that,
Yeah.
you start handing out those flyers, your business cards, and then you just become a popular guy in the neighborhood. So
That's right. So let's talk about that, because you just said it differently. It's not just door knocking. You have a cold knock and a warm knock, right? So
yeah,
and the other thing that you mentioned is that you have a good system from getting your guys from that cold knock into working the neighborhoods. And so essentially when you're training them, you're teaching them how to open up those neighborhoods. You're not just training them how to be successful on the cold knocks. You're teaching them how to be successful long term, right?
absolutely.
What does that look like in your what's your process look like there?
Yeah, so obviously it starts with opening up an area. We've seen in the past, I've had guys that, they were in one neighborhood, they got 1 or 2 roofs there, then they're in a neighborhood, 20 minutes away, and another neighborhood 20 minutes away from there. And by the middle of the season, they're just burnt out. They're doing more time driving than anything. So we really try to, centralize that. I don't have it to where, hey, this is your territory, this is your territory. I mean, you can go wherever you want, but find an area, find a town, a zip code, a neighborhood, something. Start knocking in there. You see some visible damage, maybe some discontinued roofs, or we've gotten a call in, or something like that. And then at that point, get those dominoes to start falling. And what that's going to look like is, you get those first couple. Build day is huge for us. We usually send the whole team out to the neighborhood on that build day. We have our watch us build flyers. We put them in a nice folder, thick weighted paper, that looks quality, business cards, door hangers, everything. And I mean, we hit everywhere, usually kind of earlier in the day when everyone's at work. And then, go back around again that evening. Hey, I'm the guy that left that information on your door earlier. We're the company that's just doing that roof right across the road, yada, yada, yada. And obviously then once you get that, you can get more. I've had neighborhoods where I've done one roof, on a Saturday, and maybe flyered that Wednesday. I get a call from some watch us build flyers that we left. It might be 2-3 months, over the course of there, that I keep building roofs. I've had customers that I, left 15 watch us build flyers on their door before they finally called me. But again, to me, that's a warm knock. They've seen our logo, they've seen me, they know my name probably by now from the neighbors talking. Lot different than going to the door. They've never seen you before. They have no idea what you're doing. You're more than likely, going to get the door shut on you in those situations. So
yeah, so you're setting up
obviously
your
referrals.
salespeople for success in that regard too. Because you don't want them to get burnt out, right? And
Exactly.
yeah, that's awesome. And what I just heard that was cool too is you're doing this every time, right? So I love that idea, right? So now that first build, you got the watch us build stuff going on, you got the knock-in. like now you're 10, 15 houses deep in the neighborhood. They like the amount of times that the neighbors have seen you. That's awesome, man. Like that's brand awareness right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the way I see it and what I tell our guys is, if we do a roof and we don't flyer that neighborhood on that build day and really attack it, I mean, we're leaving so much money on the table, so
So
many
much.
roofs. I mean, we pretty much wasted that job. Cool. You're going to get, a couple $1,000 commission check, but that couple $1,000 commission check could have been, 50,000 over the course of the year if we would have done it right. So
right.
yeah, it's super important to get those dominoes falling and take advantage of it once you have one in an area.
So, and do you have any different kind of process between when you're doing it, working a storm or working a retail job?
No, I think either way, we still do kind of the same thing. Now, obviously, if we're doing a retail job, we can't really put on our flyer, hey, this was, approved by insurance or
Yeah.
whatever, which, that's really gets people to call you. But, 9 times out of 10, you're in a neighborhood, you're doing a retail job, it's surrounded by usually older roofs that, and a couple of them you can see some visible damage to, or maybe we've worked that neighborhood in the past and know that there was damage there. So when it's a retail job, we kind of, do both. Obviously we're going to talk to them about insurance if it's a possibility, but, also, hey, your roof's obviously older. Insurance may not be a possibility, but, we offer financing and, this roof's to the point that it's going to need replaced. So I love comparing roofs to tires, in your car. Like, hey, looking at your roof right now, it's kind of comparable to you're driving around and the wires are showing in your tires. Like, you can keep driving, but eventually that tire is going to blow and you're going to have to get 4 new ones. So, let's take a look at it now and see what condition it's in.
That's awesome. And yeah, that's great, man. So, when you're out, how have you positioned Exterior Alliance in the, your unique selling proposition? What is, when you're out there speaking to the clients, what's your unique selling proposition?
Well, one thing I think when it comes to insurance is we've gotten very good, at that process with, the biggest thing is adjustment day. You've got to be there during the adjustment. It shocks me every time in storm situations or if we run into a homeowner that's already working with another contractor and yeah, my roof got denied. 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell me that the contractor wasn't present for the adjustment. I don't love this analogy, but I kind of say it's like going to court without an attorney. You're going in blind. The homeowner is obviously not up on the roof, and I mean we've seen instances where or heard of instances where adjusters pull up and don't even get on the roof. They walk around, looks good to me, and hop in their car and leave. So, we really just sell it as a service to the customer. Like, hey, we're going to be here with you every step of the way. You don't need to take off work, on the day of the adjustment. We'll be there for you. We'll let you know what happens. And then obviously after that too, making sure that the estimate is fair and where it needs to be. I'm a firm believer if it's an insurance case and, they've got replacement cost coverage, your deductible should be your only out-of-pocket cost. I actually just had one the other day. The estimate was just grossly underestimated. And the guy, as soon as I knocked on his door, he says, what's my cost going to be? The other guys I'm talking with, I'm spending this and this out of pocket. I said, man, you got replacement cost coverage. I mean, we should just be talking about your deductible at this point. But sure enough, I go through his estimate and it's just a lot of things are missing. And, I'm not sure what the other contractor was doing, but the roof had 3 layers and, that wasn't estimated for. So of course, that's why, he was looking at that out of pocket cost. Now we're under contract. He's only paying his deductible and he's good to go. So, that's really just what everyone should be doing. I understand not everyone is super familiar and comfortable with the insurance process, but yeah, it's just all about selling that service of hey, we're going to be there with you every step of the way. We can read these estimates. We can tell you what's missing, what's not, and make sure, you get back to pre-storm condition, 9 times out of 10, just the cost of your deductible. So.
Yeah, and speaking to supplementing, that's what that's your, if you're going to work storms, that you better be good at supplementing, right? Like, and so you
Yeah.
guys, I know you guys do a great job of that. you've really, and I guess shout out to Becca again, huh? Like,
Yeah, yeah, she helped us a lot understanding that too. So
yeah. And so in that, what have you learned? How have you gotten the lessons that you've learned in your supplementing process, and how do you get that process dialed in?
well, it's a very thin line. You can easily cross that line with supplementing into, just kind of asking for ridiculous things, and you're kind of turning the insurance company and possibly the customer against you right off the bat. No offense to anyone who does this, but I know when we were really gung-ho about supplementing and learning it and whatnot, there were some people out there like, oh, you can get porta johns added for 1-day builds, you can do this, do that. I've heard of even people during coronavirus, something about hand sanitizing stations getting paid for and whatnot. Our rule of thumb is if we're actually doing it, we'll supplement for it. If it's actually backed by code, we've got the photos and the reasoning, then we feel comfortable supplementing for it. If it's a porta john and it's a 1-day build and our guys can drive down to the gas station or something and use the bathroom, which they do anyway, then we're not going to ask for that. Now, yeah, if it's a larger job and we're going to be there for a week or something, then I can see that. But that, and I see it a lot with adjusters. I joke with them all the time. I just had one of my guys yesterday out on an adjustment with a guy, and he's calling me like, hey, this is a roof only. I'm not paying for overhead and profit on this, and kind of he's getting very defensive right off the bat because he's used to contractors just kind of throwing everything at him and seeing what sticks. And I said, man, like, trust me, we're not that kind of we're not that kind of guys. We just want what's fair. We want the correct amount of ice and water. We want the drip edge. We want the starter, the hip and ridge, the proper waste factor. But yeah, if it's a roof only, man, no, we're not asking for overhead and profit or anything crazy. We want what's fair. We want to be able to install the best roof possible for our customer that they're owed, and that's that. So yeah, that's just a very important thing when it comes to supplementing, walking that fine line of getting what's owed and not crossing that line into number one, things that you're actually not going to be completing, or things that just are way above and beyond what should be included in their estimate. If they have a 30-year shingle, that's what's got to be on the estimate. You can't, we're not getting trying to get a high impact resistant shingle or something like that added to it. So
yeah, asking for what you need.
absolutely.
As simple as that, right? The exact thing that you need. Let's talk a little bit about, so you guys we'll get back to marketing a little bit, like, so boots on the ground, door knocking, that's number one source of lead generation for your company. Home Advisor during COVID was something that you guys did. What else have you done that you found successful, and what have you tried that you're like, I wish we didn't do that, or won't do that again?
Home Advisor was probably one of those things that I wouldn't do again. But yeah, in terms of things that we do that do work, digital marketing in terms of Facebook ads, those have been successful for us. We have our guys usually, especially in like the towns that they live in, join the in the know Facebook groups, or we always joke there's one, Marysville Moms in the Know. None of us are moms, obviously, but we still join, and you'll see people all the time, hey, I need a roofer, and you can put those out real quick. But yeah, Facebook ads, we've done some Google ads, things like that, and really we like being involved in our community as much as possible. We've done a sponsorship with called Dublin Youth Athletics, so we did a scholarship sponsorship for them. So they put us up banners at their baseball games and whatnot, and on their website, and that was pretty successful for us as well. But it's definitely, I'm not going to sit here and say that we're a top-notch company when it comes to marketing. There's still a lot of things that I'm testing out, and I do a lot of it myself, especially our Facebook ads and whatnot. I'm pretty good with like Photoshop and making videos and whatnot, so I do a lot of that ourselves. But and we've got some SEO stuff lined up too. But yeah, we're certainly trying to transition more into that now versus just strictly relying on door knocking and, word of mouth and whatnot in terms of, getting our name and everything out there online to get leads that way. So, we bring some in. It's nothing to write home about. I know there's some companies out there that have been able to pretty well abandon door knocking, and stuff altogether because they're so successful at it. And, hopefully we can get to that point in the future, but we're certainly not there yet.
So I think that's the that's always a goal of people, because with our agency I talk to contractors all the time, and it's always a goal of people that they want to get out of door knocking, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right, like it's and I know some are, some companies don't door knock, and they're, but man, it's such a successful way to generate leads for your, to generate business for your company. That's something that, man, it's using the digital marketing and other marketing efforts to expand on that. Right now, maybe it gets you in the neighborhood. Now maybe less cold door knocking, I guess, it may lead to less cold door knocking. Like
absolutely, I would rather continue door knocking. I don't really see that ever being something that we would abandon. But if you can get your digital marketing to the point where every door you knock in the area, they've already seen your logo. That's right. They already know who you are because they've seen you online. Then again, we've just turned a cold knock into a hot knock. So
yeah, that brand awareness is so impactful. When people know of your company already, your closing rate is much better than home advisor leads.
Yeah, I can think of a million things that are better than that.
Oh man. So what do you guys, do you do anything special, or do you have a special process for attracting reviews?
Not really. I mean, obviously we're asking for that review, when they're the happiest, usually right after the job is done, we're cleaned up, our project manager has ran the magnet sweeper, and, they're ready to go.
Yep.
I just did something actually for this year. So I was, my fiance and I were in vacation down in Florida. We went to eat somewhere, and the guy handed us a card afterwards and said, hey, whoever gets the most reviews and their name mentioned, we win a trip. He hands us this card. It has a QR code on it. And obviously you scan that with your phone camera, and it takes you right to their Google page to leave a review. You're clicking the stars immediately. You don't have to click any buttons. It's right there. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, man, we're doing this. So yeah, I just had a ton of cards made with, it's just got our logo on the front and on the back. Could you please leave us a review, scan this with your camera. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, what those do for us this year. But yeah, other than that, we do send out the email blast once the job is done. We're sending them their warranty paperwork and final invoice and whatnot. We ask for a review at that point too. So there's 2-3 spots during the job that we're asking for a review. And we've also got a system in place where if someone doesn't leave us a review, we usually follow up with them 3, 4, 5 months later and ask them for one again. So that unfortunately wasn't a huge thing prior to me taking over ownership of the company. I got them myself just because I wanted them, but it wasn't something that we had a huge system in place for. But now since then, that's definitely become a big focus of ours is reviews. I've also heard, I don't know how true it was, but when you're really focusing on trying to get your company up there for search results on Google, I was told by a guy that the more consistent and obviously the volume of reviews, 5-star reviews that you're getting is going to organically help your Google listing pop up higher. So, our goal is really to try to get 5, 6, 7 5-star reviews a week. And hopefully or organically that'll help us start to pop up higher on Google too. So
yeah, Google's algorithm is crazy. There's a lot of factors, but that is trust is a factor. It's called EAT, Google's EAT formula, and trust is the T. And so the trust factor in getting those reviews. But then I tell people like all the time like this, if you go search for a dentist or a plumber or something like that, and you look in the map section, there's 2 parts to it. First, you got to get there, right? the second thing is you have to have as good or better reviews than the companies you're showing up with,
Right.
because no one's going to call the company with no reviews. The company, the company with the best reviews is always going to get the phone call first. Not that they
Right.
won't move on down the list, but they're going to get that call first, and that's what you want to focus on. Reviews are a big thing. There,
Absolutely.
it's the I think it's the biggest thing that you can do, the most impactful thing that you can do with your for your company digitally. It's hard to do SEO yourself. It's hard to do, as a roofing contractor, but that getting reviews on a consistent basis, getting great reviews on a consistent basis makes a
Yeah.
big impact on the buying decision of those homeowners, for sure.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, and when you have a good reputation and reviews online, I mean, there's nothing better than being able to go to the door and,
yeah,
show them that, hey, look us
show
up
them.
on Google. You don't have to hide
Check us
anything.
out. Yeah, check us
Exactly.
out right here. Yeah. What other things do you do on social media? Do you you said you're doing some video, doing, kind of do it. Do you do anything special on there, like on build day or anything on, do you fly the drones up and or any of that type of stuff? Or
Yeah, I mean, we've got, do have a drone that we use on build day, and, try to get some good shots and video editing with that. In terms of, other stuff on Facebook and social media and whatnot, I mean, we just try to be, as active as possible.
yeah,
I mean, I know that just, from the day and age that we're in, the more consistent that you're, adding to your Facebook story and adding to your Instagram story and whatnot, the more that's going to pop up in the beginning for people to see. So again, something that we need to improve on, that we didn't focus on a whole lot in the beginning, that we are now. Just trying to, gain more followers, people,
yeah,
to see us. And like you said, it all comes down to brand awareness. And, I don't see really any marketing dollar as wasted money. I mean, if I run a Facebook ad for, $200, and 16,000 people see it and I don't get one call, I'm not disappointed about that, because I know 16,000 people just saw my logo.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't think any of that money spent is ever wasted. It's great when you get calls from it and you get roofs from it. But just getting your logo out there, getting your name out there, it's all, the snowball effect. The more and more you can get it out there, the more and more people see it, the more and more they recognize you, the better that you're going to be. And that absolutely takes time. But you got to start somewhere.
yeah. It does take time, but that's a great mindset to have, because you the impression of your company on someone over and over and over and over and over again, that brings you top of mind. That's what it does. And a lot of times we get so focused on lead cost and things
Yeah.
like that it's difficult, but that brand awareness pays dividends over time,
Yeah. I
right?
mean,
Over
we're not
time,
in the
like,
business of,
yeah,
we're not planning on being here for 2 more years. We're planning on being around for, you know, the rest of my life. And,
that's right.
hopefully I can hand this down to my kids or
Yeah,
something. And, if I'm sending out ads now and getting our logo in front of people and we're not getting leads now, hey, again, that's okay. But yeah, just getting your name out there, getting your logo out there, the more and more consistent you are with that, it might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. But eventually that's going to start sticking with people. That's one
yeah,
big thing, that I hope we've been able to accomplish with our logo. We've got a secondary one as well, but our goal when we created the logo and everything for the company was to be as simple as possible. It's like Apple. Apple is literally an
yeah,
apple with a bite out of it. Sprint, Verizon, it's as simple as possible. So for guys that are, on listening to this, trying to, thinking of starting their own company or something, keep it simple, keep it memorable. You don't want a whole bunch of stuff going on with it. You want it's going to stick in their head, and that's your goal with that stuff. So
definitely. Simple is better, and standing out versus your competition. We had Dustin Beegler on the podcast from Apple Roofing, and he told the story of how,
genius.
yeah, like everyone in Nebraska was red and white, so they went
Yeah.
with this, bright green and red, and like just those little things make a big difference in your branding and people noticing you, right? You don't
Yeah.
want to fade into the background with your branding and your in that you want to stand out and have people recognize, oh, that's that company there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What anything, I know you're doing the flyering and stuff on build day. Are you doing anything on build day to create a raving fan out of that homeowner?
Out of the homeowner that we're doing their roof?
That you're doing the roof for?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all about a good experience that day. So we make sure that we have someone on site all day long. That benefits us, but also benefits the homeowner. We want to make sure that we're getting pictures of everything, especially if it's an insurance claim. Maybe the step flashing gets damaged during tear off or something. You got to be there to get photos, but it builds a lot of trust for your customer too, when they see that you're there and you're paying attention to things. We usually share a photo timeline with them through company cam, so they can literally see the whole process, and it updates as the day goes. I don't have to send them a new link or anything. They can literally watch it live as I'm putting photos in, and that gives them peace of mind as well, knowing like, oh, okay, like they actually put felt underneath my shingles, because we all know, I mean, barely any customer is ever going to get on their roof and make sure that you did a good job. So when you can actually show them that, with photos and everything throughout the process, that's going to create a lot of trust with them. And then, yeah, I mean, we're just obviously pushing reviews and whatnot, or references afterwards. So, hey, friends, family, neighbors, we usually ask them if they can give us 3 people, friends, family, or neighbors close to them that, they think might be in the market for a new roof. We offer them $250 for anyone they send our way that ends up under contract, and so we get a lot of work through that as well. But they got to like you and trust you, and know that they got a good roof put on in order for that to happen. If you don't show up to the job and it's just your crew out there and you're in and out and gone, and they never hear from you or talk to you, you're a lot less likely for them to want to share you with with their friends and family.
That's for sure. And that building that trust with them, contractors have a bad reputation, right?
Absolutely.
So sharing that company cam thing live with them, the feed live with them, and everything that you said is getting done, in the right manner. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think the greatest insight that you could share with our audience has helped you find success in your roofing business?
Oh man. I mean, I've just been really, dedicated since day one, to the customer. The old saying, the customer is always right. I think we've built a good reputation, and a lot of that has maybe even been in situations where we could have put our foot down and probably had a customer that wasn't happy with us. It was just the other day I was out. I nearly almost repainted the entire front of this lady's house because one little spot, when we pulled the shingles off, it pulled the paint off of her wood siding. And then she was pointing out every other little spot, which, 90% of had absolutely nothing to do with us tearing the roof off. And I could have sat there and argued with her, and ma'am, that's impossible. That you can see that's faded. It's been there for a long time, but is it worth it? No. I spent, 2 hours of my time, and like I said, pretty well repainted the whole front of her house, and she was happy afterwards. And the next day she called me with her sister, that she thinks could use a new roof. So this isn't rocket science. We're all it's roofing. It's all about just making sure that customer's satisfied, and we also throughout the entire process, especially insurance, we make sure that they're involved every step of the way. I never talk to their insurance company without them knowing. I never send an email without them attached to it. If we're sending a supplement in, I go over everything with them, even though they may not understand it completely. We make sure that, hey, this is what we're asking for. This is why. In terms of a retail job, we're bringing in all of our product samples. We're offering them, good, better, and best options. And this is what the difference is. This is why the price is different. It's really just about honesty and transparency throughout that process. And like I said, if something does go wrong, swallow your pride, and at the end of the day, make sure your customer's happy. And I think we've done, trust me, there could have been many situations where we could have gotten a bad review if we would have said, you know what, no, that wasn't us. We didn't do that. That's not our fault, whatever it may be. It's construction. Things happen. Plants get damaged. Oil gets spilled in driveways. Paint gets, taken off siding. Fix it. At the end of the day, fix it. Your customer's happy. You've got, even if they don't leave a good review, at least they're not leaving a bad one. If they don't tell their friends and family, hey, go with these people, at least they're not telling them not to. And that's, what's important to us.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.